Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, then welcome. It's Felice, totally awake, and I'm back with another video. Alright guys, now this video was previously recorded probably about last October. It's an oldie but a goodie. Let's go down memory lane with Anthony Morris.
I thought we'd discuss the final end of God's enemies. So it can be very encouraging, albeit sobering. And to help us with it, there's a beautiful expression here in the 37th Psalm. So find that 37th Psalm, and how encouraging to meditate on this beautiful verse, verse 20. But the wicked will perish, the enemies of Jehovah will vanish like glorious pastures. They will vanish like smoke. So, since they're Jehovah's enemies and Jehovah's our best friend, that means they're our enemies. How we look forward to these enemies of Jehovah, our enemies, vanishing like smoke. However, all of this growth and the advances in this organization, the earthly part we're discussing, it infuriates Satan the devil, just infuriates him. And hence how we look forward to the end of Jehovah's chief enemy, but as well as all the other enemies that are under his influence. If, as this Jewish scholar suggests, Gehenna was used for the disposal of refuse and carcasses of those deemed unworthy of burial, fire would be a suitable means of eliminating such refuse. Now, this point, I don't know if you know much about maggots, but you see a whole bunch of them. It's just not a pleasant sight. But what a fitting picture of the final end of all of God's enemies. Sobering, yet something we look forward to. However, the apostates and the enemies of Jehovah would say, well, that's gruesome, that's despicable. You teach your people these things? No, God teaches his people these things. This is what he's foretelling. And frankly, for friends of Jehovah God, how reassuring that they're finally going to be gone. All these despicable enemies that have just reproached Jehovah's name, destroyed, never, ever to live again.
So, yeah, that was definitely ridiculous. Anthony Morris getting up there on the broadcast or whatever it was, something on jw.org, calling us apostates, the ones that leave, the ones that wake up, that's the ones of us that's totally awake, that find out about the lies that we were told, calling us despicable? Despicable? Who you calling despicable? You? The one that was buying up all the liquor at the liquor store? You want to call somebody despicable? Nah, you the one that's despicable. You got a problem. You're not only despicable, but you're a drunk. You're a despicable drunk. And your homeboys, they ain't no better. But you want to call somebody despicable. And then you want to tell my mama that I've joined forces with Satan?
Now, it's not that we rejoice in someone's death, but when it comes to God's enemies, finally, they're out of the way, especially these despicable apostates who at one point had dedicated their life to God, and then they joined forces with Satan the devil, the chief apostate of all time.
I joined forces with Satan. Okay, I joined forces with Satan. But y'all the ones around here protecting pedophiles, though, with your two witness rule. But I joined forces with Satan just because I'm telling the truth. I'm telling about your lies. I'm telling about your lawsuits that you pan out to these victims that on your watch you allowed to continuously be abused because you let the rapists go free. They didn't have another witness to kid didn't have another witness. The victim didn't have another witness, so you let him go free. How evil, how despicable of you. You know, it's funny, It's like the governing body, they always crying. Like LeBron. Like my husband would be saying LeBron be crying. But we like LeBron though. But why you crying though? You winning. Why you crying and you winning? You got 8 million followers. What you got 8 million followers, and no matter what a lot of them hear, they still follow. They still blindly follow. So why are you crying? I'm trying to understand. What more do you want? You want to keep us silent. It won't happen. It won't happen. We're going to talk. We're going to continue to talk. We're going to continue to talk. And you can't stop us. How you like me now?
So while we eagerly await Jehovah's bringing his enemies to the end, very sobering point from James chapter 4 that you'll remember. Let's find James. Verse 4, adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever, therefore, wants to be a friend of the world is making himself an enemy of God. So, what a clear warning. We don't want to have any friendship, whether socially or on social networks, with Jehovah's enemies. We're not friends of the world. We're Jehovah's friends. We're looking at him as our closest and most precious friend, and we never would want Jehovah to view us as an enemy. Just to help this verse stay in your mind, we hope, verse 20, just to emphasize this, but the wicked will perish, the enemies of Jehovah will vanish like glorious pastures, particularly they will vanish like smoke. So I thought this would be a nice memory aid to this verse stay in the mind. Here's what Jehovah's promising. As Jehovah's enemies, they're going to vanish like smoke.
Tony, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. This is some foolishness.
Despicable and disgusting. But we despicable. Despicable apostates. Joining forces with Satan. Knowing that those are very scary. That's hatred. That you feeling in the minds of your members about the ones of us that was once members that woke up. That's hatred. Y'all got some hatred for us. The whistleblowers. I don't want nobody telling on y'all, telling the truth about your so-called truth. This won't be the first time that Watchtower has trolled apostates. I remember another time, it was probably a couple of years ago now, but it was a group of so-called apostates. They went and protest, and this was also a part of a documentary. And they went to the Bethel branch. They request that someone come down and speak to them. They didn't get anybody. No one came to represent, but they did get the sprinklers.
This is Rebecca at Spoon Fed No More. We're here, and even though it's rainy, they've turned on the sprinklers here in order to keep us out. We got everyone over here. Beauty, look at that. Yeah.
They got all wet up with the sprinklers. There's video footage of it and all. Now that's despicable. That's evil. And what make it crazy, because of course they're protesting about this two-witness rule, the child sexual abuse. What make it crazy is right after that same week on one of the morning worships or whatever, they say that they will never change their stance on that two-witness rule. They said how the apostates are going and running with something. How you know what the apostates talk about?
Now, there's something that the apostates are talking about and trying to put forward. The media has picked it up. Others have also picked it up. And that is our scriptural position of having two witnesses a requirement for judicial action if there's no confession. And notice what he said, Matthew 18 and verse 16. He says, but if he does not listen, take along with you one or two more, so that on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, every matter may be established. So Christ Jesus establishes the fact that there has to be 2 witnesses. Now, it doesn't mean that if there's only one witness, that there's no consequences. There might be, depending upon the situation. But the scriptures are very clear. Before a judicial committee can be convened, there has to be a confession or 2 witnesses. So we will never change our scriptural position on that subject.
How you know what the apostates talk about? If we've joined forces with Satan, why is anybody from your organization looking at anything from any apostate? But of course they watch. They watch so they can know which direction to go with their members, what they need to warn them and tell them. Or what some of them might be out there hearing. They want to counter that. Let me put this in their ear too, so they'll know that I know what you're out there hearing, but let me tell you this. And what I'm saying, Jehovah is my homeboy. Jesus, that's my right-hand man. That he chose us. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to be, if they're not all the way woke, might get scared, get put back to sleep real easy. But yeah, so after they protest like this, they puts this video out. After that video, I'm like, done. Like, I was already done. But I'm saying, like, you will never? So you know you wrong. But you saying that you will never change your stance on this biblical matter. And a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses watching it, that morning broadcast, they didn't know what was happening, that people was out there protesting and stuff like that. But they was picking with the apostates. Because we know what had just happened. We knew how y'all had just turned the sprinklers on those people trying to protest peacefully. You turned on the sprinklers on them. How despicable. Then there was another time where there was a lady on Dr. Phil, and she was expressing, how she was this fellowship. I gotta go back and look at the video and everything, but
the church has basically shunned your wife now because of her position, and you're labeled an apostate. I've always had the attitude, if I go somewhere and my wife and family aren't welcome, then I'm not welcome. And if somebody tells me that I am to shun my wife and children, they can kiss my ass.
Now bear in mind the Dr. Phil episode aired on January 8th, and then on January 13th, Tony Morris climbs on a platform and says,
there's this famous doctor you know who says thus and so. You know what I say? Whoopee. You want to go that way? That's your decision. I think I'll stick with my Creator, and am not ashamed at all to say anybody with any sense will go with the Creator.
So I guess this is one of those areas where you, the audience, have to decide, what was Tony Morris talking about?
Again, Anthony Morris got on there on the morning worship, and the way he was talking, you could tell that, he was referring to this episode on Dr. Phil that perhaps some witnesses may have watched. So I just think all that's crazy. Like, leave us alone. We woke up, and you can't control what we say, how we speak the truth about y'all, the real truth, and tell people how they're being lied to. Your flip-flop history, your lies, all of that. False doctrine. Man, it's so much. It's despicable. Despicable. Oh, it's getting chilly out here. But, hopefully I can get some good edits. And, I made this video nice for y'all. And if I did, definitely give me a thumbs up, because that means your girl was working hard trying to get it for y'all. So please like, share, and subscribe. And I got so much more to talk about, y'all, that I don't even know where to start. So stay tuned.